The NBA offseason is in full swing. Trades, free agency, the draft is over. We've seen it all. Some teams are making massive moves and striving towards greatness. Others, not so much. Today, I'm going to be grading every single NBA team's offseason so far. Who's building a contender, who's losing, and who's just plain confusing. Let's get into it. Keep in mind, these grades are based on what's happened so far as of July 3rd, 2025. Moves can still happen, but we're just looking at what's happened so far. First team up is the Atlanta Hawks, who in my opinion are easily deserving of an A+ grade, as they've had one of the best off seasons out of every single NBA team so far. First move they made was trading for Kristaps Porzingis, which in my opinion was a great trade. You take a flyer on a guy who's been injured, who's out, but you didn't really give up much. You just gave up Georges Niang, Terrence Mann, and pick 22, which ended up being, I believe, Ben Saraf. And this is a great move that they made. And on top of that, on draft day, they traded their 13th overall pick to the Pelicans for pick 23, which ended up being Asa Newell, who many thought you would take with the 13th overall pick, and a 2026 swap best between Milwaukee and the Pelicans. You got one of the most valuable picks, because after that, Dame got cut by the Bucks. You don't know what's happening out there in Milwaukee, so this pick is now pretty valuable. Not to mention, you also signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who fits amazingly with what they're building in Atlanta, surrounding Trae Young with elite defenders and really good shooters. I love this offseason so far with Atlanta, easily deserving of an A+. Next team up is the Boston Celtics, who have had also a really eventful offseason. They traded away two of their key members of their championship roster, in Kristaps Porzingis and Jrue Holiday, and I think I have to give them a B-. I understand why you had to do some of the moves you did. I thought the return for Jrue Holiday was pretty good. Anthony Simons and 2 second-round picks. You can make the case that Anthony Simons is the better player right now. I'm not saying he is, but you can make the case. And on top of that, you also got second-round picks. I like that trade. I'm a fan of it. I'm not a big fan of the Kristaps Porzingis trade, because all you got in return was Georges Niang. And I get it. You save money, you're under the second apron. This gives you quite a bit of flexibility when Tatum comes back in the 27 season. I understand that. If you're not ready to contend next season, you don't think you can, nobody thinks you can. That's alright, that's fine. Next year is a reset year. That's perfectly okay. But I thought just Georges Niang in return was a bit tough. He's not a good defender. He's not a really elite shooter. And he does have a pretty hefty contract that has a couple more seasons on it. And overall, I'm not a big fan of that. I do like the Anthony Simons trade though. Anthony Simons is definitely someone who can either play with you guys or be traded away later. And a team would take him. I think a team like Orlando would have been interested in him. Overall, B- for them. I just would have liked a better return for Tingus Pingas. I do understand it though. I completely get it. It's an unfortunate situation, but B- it is. Next team up is the Brooklyn Nets. Man, have they had a confusing offseason so far. I'm so mixed on them. I think a B is fair here. They had 5 first-round picks in the draft, and they drafted with all 5 picks. What I didn't like was the selections. You take Igor Demin at 8, Nolan Traore at 19, Drake Powell at 22, Ben Saraf at 26, Danny Wolf at 27. You drafted 3 guards with completely overlapping skill sets. Non-shooters who can play make, they can't finish, they can't defend, they're literal playmakers. They're Josh Giddys. You drafted 3 Josh Giddys. They could completely prove me wrong. I'm a fan of, Igor Demin, but just not at 8, right? A lot of people thought he was going 20th, and you had plenty of guys available who I thought were better. And they also made a pretty big trade. They traded away their best player, Cam Johnson, for Michael Porter Jr. and 2032 Denver unprotected first round pick. That's amazing. I think I can understand why some people aren't as high as it on me as me, but that 2032 pick could be extremely valuable. It's one of the most valuable picks in the league right now. If you're Brooklyn, you're pretty happy with that. I do get it. Like, it's a mismanagement of assets. You took all 5 picks, right? You used all 5 of them. You didn't trade Cam Johnson at the offseason when many people thought his value would be the highest. So I could get that. But I think they're deserving of a B grade. They made good moves. They could have had better moves, in my opinion, but you make do what you could do. Next up, we have the Charlotte Hornets. And man, this might be controversial, but they get an easy A from me. I have loved their offseason so far. From drafting Con Canupel, I know you probably would have liked VJ Edgecombe. He's probably a better fit, but you took Con Canupel. You didn't overcomplicate things by taking Ace Bailey, who is the better prospect. You took the safest player in the draft, who could slide right alongside LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. You drafted another player of a similar archetype, though not as good, in Liam McNeely. You traded Yusuf Nurkic for Colin Sexton and a second round pick. That's the most impressive thing for me, because how did you get a second round pick for Yusuf Nurkic and a better player, right? That's unbelievably impressive. You took on Pat Connaughton's money for picks as well. You traded away Mark Williams to Phoenix. Although a lot of people aren't fans of this move, I get it. He's injury prone. You didn't like him. You tried trading him in the this deadline. You got a first round pick for him. Although it's not a good first round pick, it's a first round pick nonetheless. I'm a big fan of this offseason for them, man. I can't stress this enough. I just think that they made all the right moves. They made the necessary moves. And this is exactly what bad teams should be doing. Trading or taking on bad contracts for draft capital, and the Hornets did exactly that. I still can't believe they got a pick by trading away Yusuf Nurkic. That's unbelievable. Next up is the Chicago Bulls, and man, I don't even know where to start with this team and their front office. I think it's been an easy D so far, man. I can't stand them. I can't stand this team. They do everything wrong somehow, and it just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't add up, right? You traded away Lonzo Ball for Isaac Okoro in a 1-for-1 trade, right? That's fine, that's okay, but there are teams that were reportedly offering a first round pick at the trade deadline, and you traded him for Isaac Okoro. It's just a mismanagement of assets from them on their behalf, because they did the same thing last offseason. Alex Caruso for Josh Giddey. Josh Giddey's been a fine player, but man, you couldn't get a first rounder or anything. Like, it's insanity. It's really insane. You didn't have you drafted Noah Esenge, who I do like him, but I just don't think that's the fit for you for their team. They already have Matas Buzelis, Patrick Williams, who they probably can't trade because you paid him so much money. I'm not a fan at all. I think D is a pretty fair grade, maybe even generous. Next team is the Cavs, and they made a trade. They traded Isaac Okoro for Lonzo Ball, like we just mentioned with the Bulls. I like the trade. I think they, so far, they're getting a B as well, because the trade made sense. You needed backup guard play. Isaac Okoro has not been very good. You extended Sam Merrill and you let Ty Jerome walk, which is unfortunate. Reports did say, or Ty himself said, that he really wasn't given an option to come back. You know, I would have liked to see them, you know, spend the money they gave Sam Merrill on Ty Jerome. Maybe even try and dump Isaac Okoro to try and re-sign Ty Jerome. But I get it. The second apron is absolutely brutal. They get penalized if they extend contracts. It's called the repeater tax, I believe, where they have to pay fines or they have to pay a tax for continuously going into the second apron to keep certain players. I understand the moves. I think we're still going to see a big move from them involving Garland or Jarrett Allen, so I look forward to that. But I think it's a B off season so far with the Cavs, nothing too crazy. Next team is the Dallas Mavericks, and boy does this get me angry to do this, but they deserve a A as well. You drafted Cooper Flagg, who's the best player in the draft by far. You signed D'Angelo Russell to a pretty team-friendly contract. It's 2 years, $12 million, that's fine. You're paying him $6 million, which is maybe an underpay. You also re-signed Dante Exum, who was injured last year, who's also a pretty good player. You extended Kyrie Irving, which is amazing on your behalf. You also extended Daniel Gafford for 3 years, $55 million. And I really like their team. If Kyrie could be healthy, sometime next year, I think they could really make some noise there. And I like it. I really do. I think they deserve an A. They don't deserve an A though. I hate Nico Harrison and their front office there, but it is what it is. They've done great work so far. Next up is the Denver Nuggets, and man, I think they are having an outstanding offseason, easily getting an A+. I think their offseason is on par with the Atlanta Hawks'. They traded MPJ, who was making $40 million a year, for Cam Johnson, who's a player that does similar things to MPJ, but I think Cam Johnson's just a little better. He just fits the mold a little bit better. He's a willing passer. He's a better defender, I think. He's not, I don't think he's a better shooter, but he just fits pretty well. He fits even better than MPJ. He just does what MPJ does as well. You also acquired Jonas Valanciunas in a 1-for-1 trade for Dario Saric, which is massive. Like, that's so big. I know there's rumors that Jonas Valanciunas wants to go play in Greece and wants to be bought out. I don't know the validity of those rumors, but this is the first time since like 2016 where you're actually gonna have a competent backup big for Jokic. You don't have to play DeAndre Jordan, right? And not to mention your free agent signings. You were able to sign Tim Hardaway Jr., Bruce Brown, and we know how those two are. We know Tim Hardaway Jr. is a little hit or miss. We've seen Bruce Brown with the Nuggets. They won a chip that year. Tim Hardaway Jr. gives them what they need, and they have a really solid bench. And the team that took the defending champs at Game 7 just got a lot better, in my opinion. Man, I think they're probably the second best team in the West, and they could rival OKC and actually beat them this time around. Next up is the Detroit Pistons, who have had a pretty uneventful offseason so far. A lot of people thought they were going to make a bigger splash trading for a co-star for Cade Cunningham. That's been one of the big gripes with them. They don't really have anything outside of Cade, but they've had a solid offseason. I'll give them a B-. They acquired, in a sign and trade, Duncan Robinson for Simon Fontecchio, which is a fine move, I guess. I'm not a really big fan of Duncan Robinson, especially with the amount you're paying him, which is $15 million a year. Karis LeVert is a fine signing for Dennis Schroeder replacement, $15 million a year. B-Ball Paul you re-signed for $5 a year. It's okay. I think there's still more moves to be made, but nothing crazy. You did lose Schroeder in free agency. It's alright, I guess. Malik Beasley's thing is up in the air as well, which is just unfortunate, man. Malik Beasley was so good for you, but that issue is out of your control. I can't penalize them for that. They did make a solid pivot, though. I'm not a big fan of Duncan Robinson, but he does give you similar things. Overall, C for them so far. Next, we have the Warriors. What have they done? Genuinely, they just drafted, I guess, right? Alex Tui, Jamal Mashak, Will Richard. They really haven't done much. What do you give them? It's a D, man. I can't give them anything more than that. They haven't done anything. They literally... we're still waiting on the Jonathan Kuminga situation. We're still waiting to see where Al Horford goes. I know he's deciding between the Lakers and the Warriors, so let's see where he goes. Maybe that'll bump this up to like a C or something. But, man, I don't like what they're doing so far. They're just sitting back, relaxing, while every other team around them is getting better. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of what they're doing. Mike Dunleavy, you gotta step up, brother. Next up is the Rockets, who made the biggest trade of the offseason so far, trading for Kevin Durant. They just gave up Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, come on, Malwak. Hey, man, easy A+ offseason for the Rockets so far. I have been loving this. What they've done, man, it's amazing work. And if you're in the HQE community, you know, we said, wow, do they have infinite money? Because they just kept signing and signing and signing. And we were like, whoa, where are they getting this money from? And you acquired Kevin Durant via trade. You did give up Jalen Green, which is sad. But, man, Jalen Green wasn't on no timing, man. He was not good in the playoffs for you when you needed him. He is a young player, I get it. But I think with KD, you're a lot more competitive. You're a lot better now. You gave up Dylan Brooks, which is unfortunate, but you replace him with Dorian Finney-Smith, who's a player that does really similar things. can shoot the ball, plays tough defense, is tough as nails, man. I don't know if you guys have seen clips of Dorian Finney-Smith just bullying people, but he does that. You did sign Clint Capella. It was a questionable signing to me, but the value's there, man. $7 million a year, that's fine value. It's just, where do you get the minutes for him with Sengun and Steven Adams? You can't play those three together, really. They're slow-footed bigs who really aren't elite rim protectors, so it's a bit tough to play them. You re-sign Jeff Green, Aaron Holiday, Jayshawn Tate. Fine moves, but the big man is that KD trade. I think that KD trade makes them probably the second or third best team in the same level as Denver. Next team up is the Pacers. Man, this is just so sad to see, because you lose your longest tenured Pacer in Miles Turner, who you just made the NBA Finals with, and you can't really blame. You can blame them. They're being cheap, but I understand the logic. Your star player is out. You're not gonna contend next year. You don't want to go into the tax for a non-contending team. I can get it. But if anybody deserved it, it was Miles Turner, man. He did so much. He was in so much trade rumors. He really did deserve it. The one thing that's really saving them from me giving them a D or an F is that trade for their own first round pick back. I don't know if their front office had like foresight or something, or they knew Tyrese was going to get injured, but trading for that pick really saved them, because they could do whatever they want next season. They could tank, they could do anything. And that's something that gives you a lot of flexibility, in my opinion, because you probably aren't going to be good next year. So, but having your own pick is really good. So, it's a tough situation. It's just the Miles Turner loss that really stings. Next team up is the Los Angeles Clippers. And I got to say, I've been a fan. I think they get an easy B+. You had the big move with Brook Lopez, which was a great signing. And it doesn't really move the needle, right? It doesn't make you a title contender right away. But for what it is, it's a good signing, good value, $9 million a year. Playing backup big to Zubac, which was an issue last year for you guys. Not a competent backup center. And that really does help. You re-sign James Harden, 2 years, $80 million, which is $40 million a year. And everyone sort of has this 2-year window for the championship. Everyone's on a 2-year contract that expires at the end of the 2027 season, which gives you a lot of room to sort of make moves after that if you want to, or hit the reset if you need to. So I've been a fan. B+, I guess. It is what it is. Nothing crazy, but I like the move that they did make. Next up is the other LA team, the Lakers, and they were pretty quiet on the first 2 days of free agency, but they eventually got lucky with the buyout market. DeAndre Ayton got bought out in a really surprising move and signed with the Lakers on a pretty good $8 million a year deal, which is tremendous value for Ayton. He is a great player, great center. I don't know if he's exactly what they need. He's a good lob threat. He's a good player, just not exactly fit-wise the best. He is pretty similar to Mark Williams, and you got him without trading Dalton Connect in a 2031 first-round pick, which is a pretty good deal in my opinion. You also signed Jake LaRavia to a 2-year, $12 million deal, which is fine. I think they're pretty deserving of a B-. I like the moves. I don't like the Jackson Hayes re-signing as your backup big. I thought, you could maybe try and get Al Horford, which you didn't end up doing, but it's a fine signing. I like your draft pick with Adu Thiero. I'm a fan of him in what he did in college. I think he could play right away. Good defender, athletic, tough, hard-nosed, exactly what they need. I think they still have 1 or 2 moves left in the tank to try and get some wing defense around Luka and LeBron. Maybe even a better backup big if Jackson Hayes is going to be the third string. He's not making too much money, $3 million. He could afford to be the third string. It's not a bad contract. No such thing as a bad 1-year contract. Overall, it's a fine off season. B-. Next up, we have the Memphis Grizzlies, who have had a pretty eventful offseason so far, even stemming from the draft night. Or around the draft, where they traded shooting guard Desmond Bane to Orlando for a bunch of first round picks. Man, I love that deal. I think their offseason so far is worthy of an A, because they've made pretty good moves in right areas, right? The Desmond Bane trade is a great return. I think you'd be stupid to not accept that, right? You got a lot of good quality picks. You got the 16th pick in the draft, which you used to take Cedric Howard, who is a grid shooter, and he could replace Desmond Bane right away. You got Cole Anthony, who you are going to buy out. He hasn't been bought out yet as of the making of this video. And you signed Ty Jerome on an amazing contract, 3 years, $27 million. What are other teams doing? Why would they not throw a little bit more at him? He's making less than Lonzo Ball. Less than Lonzo. I think that's a great deal. You re-signed Santi Aldama. I'm not a big fan of that deal. It's a bit hefty, $18 million annually. Some funny news, you re-signed Jaren Jackson Jr. and he's out for what, 6 months right away? That's unfortunate, but it is what you get with him, I guess. But solid offseason so far. I'm a fan. Next team up is the Miami Heat, another boring team. They made one move. It was a sign and trade. You get Simon Fontecchio or Simone Fontecchio for Duncan Robinson. I don't know what to give this. You get a D. You get a D for your inactivity, right? East is wide open. You're not doing anything about it. It's okay, I guess. You know, maybe you get Damian Lillard or something, but I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan at all of what the Heat are doing, because they aren't doing anything. That's the issue. You can't just stand still. You gotta do something, or otherwise you're gonna be stuck in limbo like the Kings, right? Next team up is the Bucks, who have been making some moves. Nah, I'm not gonna say amazing moves, but moves. I think they're pretty deserving of a B-, because this could go so wrong what they did. They signed Miles Turner from the Pacers, and at first everyone was like, how did they do that? And then literally 10 minutes later, news comes out that they extended and waived Damian Lillard, or stretched and waived, Damian Lillard. So that's $20 million of dead cap just on the books. And man, this is such a tough spot that they're in, because I guess Giannis isn't okay with just sitting still and losing next year, right? And waiting for Dame to come back. I guess he's not okay with that, and you have to show him that you're willing to do whatever it takes, and you made a tough choice. I could respect them for that. I don't know if it's going to be the right one, right? Nobody could tell you that, because you're essentially paying $50 million a year for Miles Turner, which, you know, isn't the best, but you got to do what you got to do. You also re-signed Bobby Portis, KPJ, Gary Trent, Taurean Prince, Jericho Sims. You added Gary Harris, which is a fine player. You're making good moves. The roster is decent. You just wish you had Dame, I guess. It's just unfortunate that he tore his Achilles, because this team could have been pretty decent. You still have Kyle Kuzma on the team. That's an F by itself. I'm not going to lie. Kyle Kuzma is terrible. Get him off that roster. You would have had an A+ if you did. Next team up is the Timberwolves, who get a C-. They haven't really done a lot, right? They re-signed Randall, re-signed Naz Reid to fine contracts. $25 million annually for Naz Reid is okay. $33 million a year for Randall is all right as well. That's okay. That's completely fine. You lost Nah. You didn't draft anybody really, and you're worse than you were last year, right? Objectively, you re-signed the same players and you lost Nah, right? Objectively, you were worse than what you were last year. So I'd like to see them make some type of move, maybe to address the point guard position, or another wing to help fill in Nah. But you really haven't. You didn't do much. You're worse than you were last year. I do expect more moves coming, so I'm gonna be a little bit lenient on this, but C- for now. Maybe it gets better. Next up is the Pelicans, and man, they've had a really weird offseason so far. They're such a confusing team. I don't know what Joe Dumars is doing there. It's a tough call, because the team on paper doesn't look bad, but they don't mesh together, in my opinion, right? I think they get a C-, and I'll tell you why I'm being so harsh on them, right? The Jordan Poole trade is fine. That's an okay trade. I actually like the trade for you. I think you get rid of CJ McCollum, you take on a younger player. You also get Saddiq Bey in the trade, who could be pretty good for you. I'm okay with that trade. The trade I'm not okay with is trading up for Derek Queen. What are we doing, man? I'm not a fan of Queen at all. A slow-footed center, can't really defend. He's like a traditional big back to the post big. it's not even that you took him. You traded your first round pick next year, which was so valuable. A pick swap between you or Milwaukee, because I think one of those two teams are guaranteed to be shitty next year, right? Or it's going to be a lottery pick or a mid pick. And I don't think Derek Queen is really worth 2 first round picks, because you also gave up your 23rd pick to get him, right? I don't like it. I don't like the Jeremiah Fears pick either, because Kasparis Yakushonis is just objectively better than him. There were a bunch of players who were better than Jeremiah Fears at that position, and you question his fit alongside Zion. Nobody on the team could shoot. You signed Kevon Looney to such a hefty deal. $8 million a year for Kevon Looney? Come on. So now you have Ease, Messi, Derek Queen, Kevon Looney. Are you just going to have Kevon Looney sit on his ass all day, not play minutes? You can't play those 3 guys together, right? Now you're in such a tough position. What do you do now, right? It's not too bad of a contract, but I'm just not a fan. I'm a C-. Next up, we have the Knicks. Although they haven't made a blockbuster deal or any free agency signing like that, I think for what they had or what they had to make do with, they are deserving of an A. You signed Gershon Yabusele and Jordan Clarkson for what, less than $10 million a year for both of them? Amazing work by Leon Rose. Gershon Yabusele was fantastic for the Sixers. He was very underrated. He was a good player, good shooter, good defender. He was an all-around beast. And Jordan Clarkson, although he didn't play for a good team and his shooting is streaky, he's still a bucket. He's not going to be taxed as much as he was with Utah for the Knicks. He's going to come off the bench, maybe play 20 minutes, 18 minutes a night, shoot what, 8 shots, 7 shots a game. Just be efficient, just shoot the ball well. That's all they're asking of you. And you address your biggest weakness, which was your bench depth. You didn't really have guys you could play. You were playing DeLon Wright, you were playing Landry Shamet in the postseason, Cameron Payne, and you got very, very clear and decisive upgrades over them. Gershon Yabusele is one of the best role players in the NBA right now. I'm not joking, right? And you signed him for a bargain, in my opinion. A lot of people thought he would probably get 10-12 million annually. You got him for 6 annually. I'm a fan. I like this. Easy A for them. All right, now we're getting down to our last few teams. We have Oklahoma City Thunder. They didn't really make much moves. They really don't need to. All you got was Kobe Jones. You traded away Dylan Jones to Washington. I can't really grade them, right? C. Maybe something else is coming. I don't really expect it, but you're the defending champs. You could do whatever you want. I mean, you could have traded for some bullshit. You would have got a decent grade from me. Next up is the Orlando Magic. I like what they did. You acquired Desmond Bane, although you did give up a lot. I think for what it's worth, he fits amazingly. He's literally exactly what you needed for the team. So I'm okay with what you gave up, right? You got rid of KCP's shitty contract. You got rid of Cole Anthony. You drafted Noah Penda, who I don't really like, but it's okay, I guess, right? You signed Tyus Jones to a pretty friendly deal, 1 year, $7 million, which is okay. Maybe I would have liked to see a bit more shooting being added, but you can't really ask for too much. Maybe another move is coming, but I like it. I like it. I think they deserve a B. Next up is Philadelphia. You took VJ Edgecombe in the draft, which I thought was a good pick. I would have liked Ace Bailey, but I get it. Man, Ace Bailey really, that was unbelievably immature of him. But I like VJ Edgecombe. You work with what you had. That's a great player. I do question his fit alongside Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey, because all 3 of them are pretty small. They can't really play together. You re-signed Justin Edwards and Eric Gordon, which are fine. I like the Trenton Watford signing a lot. Man, he's a bargain contract. 2 years, $5 million. That's crazy. $2.5 million for that. You didn't re-sign Gershon, but I think you didn't have much to say. I think you offered him the same amount of money from the reports I read. He just decided to sign with New York, which is all right. You lost him. I think Trenton Watford's a fine replacement for him. I don't think he's as good, but he's pretty versatile. He does a lot. I like it so far for them. I think they get a B. Next team up is the Phoenix Suns, who have been one of the most active teams in the offseason alongside the Rockets. I like the moves. I think I'm going to give them a A- so far. You traded away KD, and although you didn't get as much as you gave up for him, in a vacuum, the return was pretty decent, right? If you don't consider what you gave up for him. Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and pick 10, which ended up being Kaman Maluak. I'm a fan. I like the return. I thought maybe Jalen Green would be rerouted somewhere, but it looks like you're going to keep him, which is okay. Hopefully you could get rid of Bradley Beal if that's the case, because you really can't have Book, Beal, and Green playing alongside each other. I like Dillon Brooks. That's exactly the type of player that you needed on this type of roster. Hard-nosed, gritty, can do the dirty work, right? Because when you look at it, it's not really anyone who does that. I love Kaman Maluak, man. Great fit. I had him mocked going to Phoenix in the mock draft. I love the fit here. Best center on the board. I was also a big fan of the Mark Williams trade. You didn't really give up much to get him, and you get some reassurance at the center position. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, why would you take him if you took Kaman Maluak?" But it works, man. When you had Mason Plumlee and Yusuf Nurkic as your starting centers, right? This is a monumental upgrade over them too. How I love the Rasheed Fleming acquisition. Absolutely love it. Pick 31, man. I had him going 14 and he fell to pick 31. That's insane. I'm a big fan so far of what the Phoenix Suns have done. Maybe we see another move involving Bradley Beal, because shit, Milwaukee's shown that you could do something with some of these contracts, right? Stretch and waive him as well. Get him off that team right now. Easy A-. Next team up is Portland, who've had a pretty confusing offseason for me, because it looks like they're trying to position themselves in a way to win some games next season, which I don't like. I think you're so far away from being a play-in team, right? I think they get a C-. Drew Holiday trade was okay. I don't know if I like Drew Holiday on the Trailblazers, right? You gave up picks to get him as well. I don't know if I like that. I don't like the Hanson Yang pick. I thought that was a tremendous reach. There were a lot of players on the board. If you took him like 31st, that's fine. Way later, that's okay. But I'm not a fan of that. I can't lie. C- for the Blazers. Let's just hope that they don't make the mistake. You also bought out DeAndre Ayton, which is okay. Maybe you could have got something for him, right? But you gave up Nurkic. It's okay. It's all right. C-. Next team up is the Kings, and I think they get a C. I'm confused. I can't lie. They confuse me. You traded Valanciunas for Dario Saric. I don't know about that, because 1-for-1 especially, you didn't get a second rounder or anything from Denver. I don't like that. I do like Nick Clifford, who you drafted, right? He fits well. Nice wing, could defend, could do everything really. I like the Dennis Schroeder signing. I think you need a point guard. 3 years, 45 is pretty hefty, but it's all right. I like the fit. I'm not gonna like it if you sign and trade Malik Monk for him, though. What are we doing if we do that? Come on, you guys cannot sign and trade Malik Monk for Dennis Schroeder. Malik Monk's just a better player, right? You cannot do that. But C so far. It's alright, it's been fine. It hasn't been good, it hasn't been terrible. Next team up is the Spurs. I think right away, I can't really give them anything less than a B+. You had the best draft you possibly could have, like genuinely. Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant, amazing. Like Carter Bryant at 14 is great. We knew Dylan Harper was going to, but Carter Bryant was a great pickup. You signed Luke Cornett to a pretty big deal. I'm not a massive fan of it, but I get it. You need some reassurance at the center position for Wemby. Fine, he's a good rim protector. Maybe he gets his shot back and he starts shooting more. It's been alright, but easy B+ for them, I think. I think maybe they still have another move lurking around the corner involving Keldon Johnson or Harrison Barnes, but it's been a fine offseason for them. Next up, we have the Raptors, who are also confusing like the Pelicans. I think they get a B-. It's like the moves are fine, right? I like the moves. Mamashvili for 2 years, $5 million. Great value. Garrett Temple is Garrett Temple. You can't really say much about him. You extended Jakob Poeltl, which is a pretty hefty contract. I think it's like 24 a year. Pretty hefty contract, I can't lie. And your team is pretty expensive to be mediocre. It doesn't move the needle. You drafted Colin Murray-Boyles. It's okay, it's a fine thing, but I don't know. It's just you have so many overlapping positions, overlapping players, right? Scotty Barnes, Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Colin Murray-Boyles, Ochai Agbaji, Grady Dick. A lot of these players do pretty similar things, and you're really expensive to be maybe mid, potentially mid. I don't think they're going to be contenders next year, right? Even though the East is wide open. Maybe that's what they think. I don't know, but it's just too much money going out to not really good players. That's my opinion. Maybe you think differently, but I'm not a big fan. Next up is the Utah Jazz, who haven't really done a lot of free agency signings or anything like that. You bought out Jordan Clarkson, which is good. You drafted Ace Bailey. Wow. He said he didn't want to go there and you took him. I like it. I think Ace Bailey is one of the blue chip prospects in this class, top 3 prospect. You decided you need the talent. You really do, because you really don't have a young player on that team moving forward prior to the draft who you thought could be a superstar. And Ace Bailey could be that. I don't know if he will be, but he has potential. You drafted Walter Clayton Jr., fine player, fine pickup. Other than that, you really didn't do much else. I think a B is fair for them. I like the Ace Bailey pick a lot. I can't lie. Last, we have the Wizards as our last team. I think they get a B+. You took Trey Johnson in the draft at 5 or 6. Sorry, best player available. I don't know about the fit, but hey, he's a great player, great person to take there. You traded Jordan Poole for CJ McCollum. That's alright. You also got Will Riley in a trade. Good player as well. I don't know about the fit, right? Because you have a lot of guard / wing play going on over there right now. It's been okay. You got Dylan Jones. I know Washington's manager has strong tie, or general manager has strong ties to Oklahoma, right? I think he was in their front office, so he's probably the one that made the thing for Dylan Jones. It was a really weird trade that happened, but it's a fine trade. You also got 2nd round picks in return for taking on bad contracts, which you can never go wrong with that. It's exactly what a rebuilding team should do. B+, man. I just like when rebuilding teams do the right things, right? And they're doing the right things right now, just like the Hornets. And that's going to be all for the grades for every NBA team's offseason so far. Maybe I'll make an updated one when everything is done, all the dust is settled. I think we can expect to see a couple more moves from certain teams who got lower ratings. Warriors, Miami. We can expect to see a couple more moves from teams like the Lakers, right? It's been pretty uneventful so far. Shams did say it was going to be one of the craziest offseasons in NBA history. Hasn't been that so far. I expect it to pick up a little bit with some trades. Maybe Giannis requests out. Still waiting on all that. But so far, it's been a fun offseason. Been pretty normal. A lot of teams making good moves. I like it. Hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this type of content, maybe I'll do something else similar for the end of the offseason. See ya.